Don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to stay updated with our latest video. As the judge delivered the final verdict in Las Vegas, the courtroom was filled with gasps. Austin Chumlee Russell, who was clearly shocked by the length of his sentence, collapsed in shock. The dramatic scene left viewers stunned and showed how strongly people felt about the case. But what led to this shocking courtroom confrontation between the beloved reality TV star and the justice system? Here is everything you need to know about the terrible court case that brought down the poker star's favorite. Many people thought Chumlee was one of the funniest stars on reality TV. He was praised for his comedy timing, laid-back personality, and unmatched ability to make every episode of History Channel's hit show Pawn Stars seem real. His more than 10-year career on TV included famous moments like when he bought a pinball machine, showed how talented he was at video games, and came up with catchphrases. But Chumlee's legacy goes far beyond his TV work. He had a big impact on the collectibles market, helped make the gold and silver pawn shops famous, and chose to build a personal brand. All of these things show how he went from working in a pawn shop to becoming a cultural icon. Chumlee's TV success was built on his likability, natural charisma, and unwavering commitment to being himself. Even though he faced early doubts and was even cast as the shop's comic relief, he refused to let stereotypes hold him back. Instead of letting his determination define him, he focused on becoming an expert in certain collectibles, which earned him a spot on Pawn Stars and made him a fan favorite. His performances solidified his position as the show's breakout star, but what really made him stand out was his ability to connect with viewers in a way that felt real and deep. Chum became famous all over America through his work on TV, but his business ventures showed how smart he was. After building his personal brand through them, he branched out with a clothing line inspired by candy shops and personal appearances that made him millions of dollars. This money would later pay for his legal defense against charges that shocked his loyal fan base. After Pawn Stars became popular, the show and Chumlee went in very different directions. After its premiere, the History Channel show became one of the most reliable hits on cable TV, with over 500 episodes and international syndication. The show's formula, along with its high production values, made it reality TV's most educational entertainment. Meanwhile, Chumlee had to deal with the immediate challenges of sudden fame. Fans eager to embrace the likable character they saw on screen initially showed overwhelming support for his public appearances. Attracted huge crowds, showing how famous he is outside of the show. The big difference between his on-screen persona and his growing personal problems led to issues that would last for years. In 2017, Chumlee told Entertainment Weekly, "I was living completely unique lives. But fame makes you feel invincible. I was determined to enjoy every moment, especially since people knew who I was everywhere I went." This resolve led to a more and more expensive lifestyle while the show kept its focus on historical items and negotiations. T's personal life grew to include luxury cars, a mansion, and a giant collection of sneakers and jewelry. Social media posts showing off his expensive purchases got millions of views, creating a very different public image from his humble beginnings at the pawn shop. By the mid-2010s, the contrast between his professional success and personal excess had reached new heights. Pawn Stars' viewership peaked with special episodes drawing over 7 million viewers, while Chumlee's personal brand expanded to include his Chumlee's Candy store on the Las Vegas Strip and a successful merchandise line behind the scenes. However, Chumlee struggled with the pressures of fame that threatened to derail his career. Problems he often attributed to the sudden transition from anonymity to celebrity, going from a regular guy to someone who can't go to Walmart without taking 500 photos. Set me spiraling, he admitted in a rare candid interview. "I turned to things that helped me cope and it nearly cost me everything." This personal chaos contrasted sharply with the show's increasingly professional operation. By 2016, the gap between public persona and private reality had become enormous. While the show portrayed Chum as the lovable, sometimes naive character that audiences adored, his off-camera life had taken concerning turns that would soon become public in the most dramatic way possible. What finally triggered Chumlee's legal troubles after years of getting worse? Police raided his Las Vegas home in March 2016 as part of an ongoing investigation into a sexual assault. They carried out a search warrant as part of the investigation, Officer Rodriguez said in a press conference that quickly went around entertainment news outlets. What we found during that search led to more charges that had nothing to do with the original investigation. The raid became a big deal in the entertainment world, with blogs looking at what it might mean for Chumlee and the future of Pawn Stars. A week later, TMZ reported shocking news: police had found guns, drugs, and drug paraphernalia all over Chumlee's house. This was very different from the fun-loving character that fans had grown to love. "This isn't the Chumlee we know from TV," one fan wrote in a social media post that went viral. "This situation affects how well I watched the show, and he never seemed like someone with these kinds of problems. This gap between the public persona and the private life seemed to be the last straw. Someone from Pawn Stars is in trouble." Tonight, Austin Russell Lowe, better known as Chumlee, is in jail. Within weeks, prosecutors put together a case and filed multiple felony charges against the reality star, including counts of drug and weapon possession that could land her in jail for up to 20 years if found guilty. The charges weren't just about the law, though. These claims were a major threat to Chumlee's carefully built public image, which was the basis of his entire career and financial success. The lawsuit sent shock waves through the entertainment business, and some experts said it could be the end of one of reality TV's most famous stars' careers. Official court documents revealed shocking details about how many weapons and other items police found at Chum's residence. The evidence logs showed that they had found multiple firearms, including assault-style weapons, as well as different drugs and other related items. However, it's important to note that the sexual assault investigation that led to the initial search did not result in charges because there wasn't enough evidence. The defendant has created a lifestyle that poses unacceptable public safety risks. Read one document from the prosecution that suggested going for the harshest punishments possible because of the number and type of things found. The first day of the trial set the mood. As Chumlee walked into the courtroom, camera flashes lit up his sad face. His Pawn Stars co-workers were missing, and the TV celebrity who had entertained millions had finally reached his legal age. As you can see, this case involves major violations of weapons and controlled substance laws. The prosecutor went to the defendant's house and found a lot of weapons and illegal drugs. Pictures of the seized items in court ignited a heated trial. The presentation of particularly damaging evidence left Chumlee staring at the floor and shaking his head. During cross-examination, the detective asked Chumlee's lawyer, "Is it your testimony that Mr. Russell was running a drug distribution operation?" The officer replied firmly, "Yet you found no scales, packaging materials, or distribution lists that are usually associated with dealing." Things got especially heated during testimony about the firearms. "Do you agree that Mr. Russell is a known collector of different things, including historical weapons?" Chum's lawyer asked. "Collecting requires proper licensing and storage." The guns expert replied. Chumlee, who looked worried, whispered to his lawyer, "Please keep quiet unless you're on the stand," and the judge told them to. Lawyers testified about the possible sentencing rules. Former prosecutor James Wilson stated that these charges usually come with long prison terms. When guns and controlled substances are mixed, it makes the law very difficult to follow. The main points of Chumlee's defense were that he had no prior criminal record and that his fame made him make bad decisions. He said that being famous made normal limits less clear and that his client got caught in a spiral of excess that made him lose his judgment. His lawyer said he never meant to hurt anyone and had been an excellent public figure in many other ways. Fans were closely monitoring the trial as it neared its conclusion. This wasn't just a legal battle, it was the possible fall of a TV personality whose popularity was based on being relatable and safe. A persona. The plea bargaining process became an important part of the trial, with lawyers from both sides arguing heatedly about possible outcomes. Chumlee's personal freedom was at risk because he could go to prison for years. Concerns also arose regarding his career, with damage estimates in the millions of dollars and the future of his role on Pawn Stars in jeopardy, regardless of the outcome. On the last day of the trial, fans gathered outside the courthouse, some holding signs of support. Others wore Pawn Stars gear inside, The air felt electric as Judge Michael Davidson got ready to hand down the sentence after Chumlee's plea deal in the case of State v. Russell. The judge said, "This court has carefully considered the plea agreement negotiated between the prosecution and defense, along with all mitigating and aggravating factors." The room was so quiet that you could hear the papers rustling as Chumlee stood there with his hands slightly shaking. "The defendant has pleaded guilty to 1 felony weapons charge and 1 misdemeanor drug charge," the judge said. As a result of the agreement, the remaining charges have been dismissed. However, Chumlee's face stayed stressed. His lawyers looked at each other warily, but the court needs to decide how important these crimes are. The judge made it clear that illegal drug and firearm possession without proper listing is a serious public safety concern. The judge's decision was clear. Chumlee would serve 3 years in prison, undergo counseling and drug tests, and give up everything taken during the raid. But the other condition was the big surprise. If he broke the rules of his probation, he would get 3 years in jail right away, without any more hearings. The court agrees to the plea deal as long as these terms are met. "Mr. Russell," the judge told him, "you are now sentenced to 3 years of probation with strict compliance monitoring. Any violation will result in immediate incarceration for 3 years. Do you understand these terms?" After months of doubt and thinking about what could happen for decades, the truth hit Chumlee like a body blow. Behind bars, this should have been a time of relief, but the reality of how close he had come to losing everything and the fact that his freedom now rested on him following the rules perfectly seemed to be too much for him to handle. He had no color left in his face, and sweat was forming on his forehead as the judge read the full terms. A roaring sound drowned out the judge's voice as he announced the defendant's 200 hours of community service. The courtroom started to spin, and Chumlee's lawyer noticed something was wrong and put a steadying hand on his arm, but it wasn't enough. The reality star, who had entertained millions of people, suddenly slumped forward, and security rushed toward him. A collective gasp echoed through the courtroom, and the TV star who had built a career on his carefree attitude was now unconscious in front of the judge and the world. He was having a panic attack. As medical staff rushed in, photographers caught the scene that would make entertainment news stories around the world. A paramedic in the gallery yelled at people who were pushing through the crowd to give him space and tell someone to get water. Chumlee, the beloved Pawn Stars character, was getting help in court because the mental stress of his case was finally showing in his body outside of court. Rick Harrison was briefly seen coming to check on his employee and friend while fans gathered in groups, many of them shocked by the case's dramatic ending. The medical drama quickly overshadowed the legal verdict. On social media and entertainment sites, fans shared news and words of support with hashtags like #ChumleeStrong and #PawnStarsFamily. 3 days later, Chumlee released a video statement from his home. He still looked shaken, but his trademark smile was back. "Facing the consequences of my actions apparently gives you anxiety attacks," he said in an attempt to be funny. "The doctor tells me to pick better things. He's right, I know it." In an unexpected turn of events, the health scare seemed to change something basic about Chumlee's public persona. According to reports, executives at the History Channel wanted him to stay on the show after he got better. As one unnamed source put it, the network saw his legal problems as a chance to tell a real redemption story, but representatives would not reveal future plans. Neither would say anything about specific arrangements, but Chum's next words had a different tone. "I let fame make me lose my mind. I did things wrong that could have cost me everything," he said with an unusually serious tone. "I'm thankful for this second chance, and I promise my friends I won't waste it." The world was full of wonder about what would happen next. One veteran reality TV producer said, "This legal battle has changed his path. People like redemption stories, and Chumlee now has a real one to tell." Media observers said Chumlee seemed to be focusing on his legal businesses while following all of the court's rules. Fans immediately sent him positive messages about a possible return, but neither Chumlee nor the network gave any specific dates. When asked directly about his return to TV, Chumlee gave a thoughtful answer, "Right now I'm focused on getting healthy and making better decisions. For years, the show has been my family, and I want to make them happy again. The court case had turned into something unexpected, a possible turning point instead of a shame that would end his career. Pawn Stars remained popular, and many viewers wanted Chumlee to return to the show that made him famous. For fans who had watched him go from being an unknown pawn shop worker to a TV star, the courtroom drama might have been a sobering reminder of the bad things that can happen when you're famous. What are your perspectives on the impact of fame on personal judgment? The collapse that shocked viewers may not have just been a man hitting his breaking point, it may have been the start of a more honest public persona finally coming out from behind the carefree character. We would appreciate hearing your thoughts in the comments.